The first time I saw the alien woman, she was standing in the middle of a snowstorm like she belonged there. That was strange for two reasons. First, nobody belonged in that storm. The wind howled across the frozen valley like an angry animal, throwing needles of ice against the old wooden cabin I'd rented for the winter. Second, she clearly wasn't human. At least, that's what I thought when I saw the faint silver glow beneath her skin. I had stepped outside to secure the generator when I noticed movement near the tree line. At first I thought it was a lost hiker, which was ridiculous. The nearest town was almost 50 miles away, and the mountain road had been buried under snow 2 days earlier. Yet there she was.
Tall.
Bareheaded. Standing perfectly still in the blizzard. "Hey!" I shouted over the wind. "You're going to freeze out here?" She turned slowly, as if my voice had interrupted deep concentration. Even from 20 yards away, I could see her eyes shining with an unnatural blue light. For a moment we just stared at each other. Then she collapsed. I dragged her inside the cabin. She weighed less than I expected, maybe because she was taller than me but surprisingly light. Her clothes looked strange too, a dark, seamless material that didn't feel like fabric at all. I laid her near the fireplace and checked her pulse.
Warm. Steady.
Definitely alive. But there were other things I couldn't explain. Thin lines of silver ran along her temples like delicate circuitry beneath the skin. Her breathing was calm despite the cold she must have endured outside. After a few minutes, her eyes snapped open. Bright blue. Alert. She grabbed my wrist with sudden strength. "Where am I?" she demanded. My cabin," I said carefully. Her gaze darted around the room. The fireplace, the wooden walls, the shelves of canned food. "You are human." "Last time I checked." She released my wrist and sat up slowly. "This planet is colder than expected." I blinked. "Planet?" She looked at me as if I were the confused one.
"Yes."
"Planet." Then she paused. "Earth, correct?" I stared at her. "You're joking." She tilted her head. I am unfamiliar with that phrase. That was the moment I realized two things. One, she wasn't joking. And two, my quiet winter had just gotten a lot more complicated. Her name was Lyra. At least that was the closest translation my brain could manage when she said it. She explained everything in a calm, matter-of-fact tone while warming her hands near the fire. "I was exiled," she said. "Exiled?" I repeated. "Yes." "From where?" She hesitated. "From a civilization your species has not yet discovered." I laughed nervously.
"Right."
"Of course." Lyra watched me for a moment. Then she lifted her hand. A small blue light appeared in the air above her palm, forming a floating sphere of shifting symbols. My laughter died instantly. "Okay," I whispered. "I believe you." She nodded once, satisfied. "Good." Apparently, Lyra had once been part of an interstellar fleet. Her people explored star systems, cataloged worlds, and sometimes, when necessary, intervened in developing civilizations. But Lyra had broken a law. "What law?" I asked. "Non-interference." "And what did you interfere with?" She looked into the fire.
"A war."
Her voice carried a weight that told me the story was complicated. Instead of answering further, she changed the subject. "My vessel was damaged during exile transport," she said. "I escaped before atmospheric entry." "You jumped out of a spaceship?" "Yes." "And survived?" "Clearly." "Fair point. But your escape pod malfunctioned," I guessed. She nodded. "That is why I landed here." I glanced toward the window, where snow hammered against the glass. "You picked a rough neighborhood." Lyra stood and walked toward the door. "We should leave." "Leave?" I said. "In that storm? My pursuers will search this region." "Pursuers?" Yes. My stomach dropped. You didn't mention pursuers. I assumed it was obvious. IT was not obvious. Lyra frowned slightly. Humans are unexpectedly loud. The argument lasted about 3 minutes. Mostly because Lyra kept trying to leave while I kept blocking the door. You can't go out there, I said. You'll freeze. My physiology tolerates lower temperatures than yours. Yeah? Then why did you collapse in the snow? She paused. Temporary exhaustion. Aha. She crossed her arms. We are wasting time. No, we're surviving a blizzard, I replied. Huge difference. Lyra glanced toward the window again. The wind roared even louder.
Finally, she sighed.
Very well. We wait until the storm weakens. I relaxed slightly.
Good.
Then she looked around the small cabin. One sleeping area?
Yeah.
Only one bed. That's correct. She considered this. Then she said something that made my brain short-circuit. Humans, stop arguing. Get in bed or we freeze. I choked on my own breath.
What?
The temperature inside this structure is declining, she explained calmly. Shared body heat is the most efficient solution. You can't just say it like that. Why not? Because it sounds. I stopped myself. Lyra blinked. Sounds what? Never mind. She walked toward the bedroom. Come. I am not coming. The wind slammed against the cabin. The lights flickered. Then the generator died. Everything went dark. Lyra looked back at me. Human. Yes. Now we will definitely freeze. I groaned.
Fine. Fine.
But this is purely for survival. Obviously, she said. I mean it. I understand. You don't sound convinced. I am not. The cabin got cold fast. Without the generator, the fireplace was the only heat source, and it barely reached the bedroom. We piled blankets on the bed like a fortress against the cold. Lyra lay down first, completely calm about the situation. I climbed in on the other side, trying very hard to pretend this was normal. It was not normal. At all. Your heart rate is elevated, Lyra said. I'm aware. Are you ill? No. Then why? Because I'm sharing a bed with an alien. She considered that. Fair. For a few minutes, neither of us spoke. The wind screamed outside. The cabin creaked. Eventually, Lyra shifted closer. Thermal efficiency, she explained. Right? I muttered. Her skin was warm, almost unnaturally so. After a while, the tension faded. My body stopped shivering. And strangely, I started to relax. You saved me, Lyra said quietly. You collapsed in my yard. Kind of hard to ignore. Many species would have. Well, humans are weird like that. She was silent for a moment. Then she asked something unexpected. Why did you come here? To the cabin? Yes. I stared at the ceiling. I needed quiet. From what? Life, I said simply. She nodded slowly, as if she understood more than I had said. Sometime later, Lyra suddenly sat upright. Her eyes glowed brighter. What? I asked, half asleep. They are here. My blood turned cold. Your pursuers? Yes. How many? 3 vessels. 3? They are scanning the area. I jumped out of bed and grabbed my coat. What do we do? Lyra stood calmly. We hide. From alien spaceships? Yes. How exactly? She walked to the window and looked toward the storm. They will search for technology signatures first, so the cabin is safe? For now. Then she turned to me. But they will eventually search visually. And when they find you, I will be taken. Back into exile? No, her expression hardened. Execution. I stared at her. Then we're not letting them find you. Lyra looked surprised. You would oppose them? Yeah, I said. Seems like the right thing to do. She studied my face carefully. You humans are very strange. I've heard that. The search lasted hours. Blue lights moved through the clouds outside. Strange humming sounds echoed across the valley. Several times we thought they had found us. But the storm worked in our favor. Finally, near dawn, the lights disappeared. Lyra closed her eyes in relief. They have withdrawn temporarily. So they'll come back? Yes. I ran a hand through my hair. Great. Lyra turned toward me. There may be another option. I'm listening. My vessel crashed several kilometers from here. And if we reach it, I might repair the communication array. So you can call for help? Yes. From your people? She hesitated. From allies. That sounded promising. How far? I asked. 8 kilometers. In this weather? The storm is weakening. I looked outside. The wind had slowed. Snow still fell, but not as violently. Lyra extended her hand. Will you help me, human? I sighed. Do I get a choice? She smiled faintly. Not really. I shook her hand. All right, Lyra. Let's go find your spaceship. The trek across the frozen valley was brutal. Snow reached our knees. The air burned in my lungs. But Lyra moved with incredible focus, guiding us through the storm as if she could feel something I couldn't. After 2 exhausting hours, we reached the crash site. The ship looked like a black scar carved into the mountainside. Steam rose from fractured metal. Lyra approached it slowly. My home, she whispered. Inside, the ship was dim, but still functional. Strange lights flickered along the walls. Lyra moved quickly between consoles, activating systems I didn't understand. Can you fix it? I asked. Yes. How long? 10 minutes. Then alarms suddenly blared. Lyra froze. They found us. Outside, a bright light cut through the sky. One of the alien ships descended toward the mountains. I looked at Lyra. Well, guess we're out of time. She met my gaze. No, her voice was calm. Now we fight. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. But it changed everything. Lyra's ship wasn't as broken as it looked. When she activated the defense systems, hidden cannons unfolded from the hull like mechanical wings. Energy blasts lit up the storm. The pursuing vessel tried to fire back, but Lyra was faster. One precise strike disabled their engines. The enemy ship crashed into the snow far below. Silence returned. I stared at her. Remind me never to make you mad. She allowed herself a small smile. My allies will arrive soon. And then what? She looked at me thoughtfully. I must leave this planet.
Yeah.
Figured. Then she stepped closer. But Exiled taught me something important. What's that? That some of the most extraordinary beings in the galaxy are human. I laughed. You've only met one of us. True. She extended her hand again. Come with me. My jaw dropped. Come with you? To the stars. I looked back toward the distant cabin, the quiet life I had tried to hide in. Then I looked at the alien woman who had crashed into my world. Lyra, I said slowly. Yes, let's go. Above us, the clouds parted. And for the first time in my life, I stepped aboard a spaceship toward a future far beyond Earth. Rocket.